I want to quickly review Adobe Audition, and is this tool worth for podcasting? Let's talk about that. So here's the synopsis I want you to pay attention to. So when you think about Adobe Audition, I want you to think about a comprehensive audio editor for video post-production, podcast, and audio restoration. And so when you think about pricing, Adobe is really on the high end. It is expensive for what you get, though, and so it makes the most sense as a supplement to a video editor or as part of an existing, I would say, CC subscription. So here are the pros and cons for this tool. The pros: you have strong audio restoration, sound removal, and noise reduction tools, and you have new loudness meter that's a boon for targeting and streaming services. You have a constellation of useful visualization tools. We love a lot the visualization tools that you have within Audition, and we love the fact that this capability is constantly being enhanced by Adobe. We love that a lot. And you also have a tool that adheres to film and television broadcast standard for audio. So the bottom line here is that with Audition, you have high quality software, but it does cost a lot. And I'll speak about pricing later on. And so those are the pros. What about the cons here? Well, this tool lacks MIDI support. It's only available via an expensive monthly subscription. So I'll speak about the pricing later on, but you will see that unless you are a successful podcaster, unless you really need it for, like, if you're subscribed to other CC subscription and you have to enhance your capabilities, then it's really worth it. One thing I need to say also is that you have a large base of clients that use Adobe Audition. So basically, we have a lot of clients who have Adobe Audition in a cluster as a group, as opposed to one person. So if you think the tool is it's too expensive for you and you can't afford it right now at this stage of your podcasting career, you can actually band with other podcasters, other beginner podcasters, and you can actually you can mutually pay for the monthly fee and the monthly software fee, and this is kind of cool. By the way, boss, welcome back to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here. Make yourself comfortable. We are going to have a wonderful conversation about Adobe Audition. This is an Adobe Audition review, full review. I'll give you all the ins and outs so you have a clear idea what you're getting yourself into. Let me talk to you about the features. So Adobe Audition is one of those programs where you can discover new features each time you open it. And so there is not much you can't do in here. So instead of trying to run through absolutely everything, I think it's just better for us to focus a little bit on the most important features, okay? And so the thing is that you have multi-track recording in Adobe Audition. So having the ability to record on multiple tracks with separate microphones can give you a lot of flexibility and control. You can actually set gain levels appropriate to each person's voice, give them individual EQ and processing treatment in post-production. This is really good if you have a multi-host or you have co-host or you have a guest. This is really good when making audio dramas. It's important to understand that you can use Adobe Audition's multi-track. You're able to have a roundtable style. You're able to look at the tool that really works for you. The bottom line, again, I want to insist on this. The bottom line is you want to sync your production to your audience's wheels. We also have clip and track effects. So during the editing process, you actually can apply a variety of effects to your audio clips. And in Adobe Audition, you can apply effects to the entire track or to individual clips themselves. So these effects can be anything from compression and EQ to reverb or telephone filter effects. Again, it's really good. And so these are completely non-destructive, so they won't permanently make any changes to your clips, and you can easily toggle effects on and off. You also have adaptive noise reduction. So a lot of podcasters, based on our experience, use dynamic mics, which can mean there is a certain level of hiss under their audio. So noise reduction is great for cleaning this up. Traditionally, this process works by manually taking a sample around 20 seconds, sometimes 30 seconds of the type of noise you want to remove, then applying it to the entire clip. And Audition's adaptive noise reduction process runs as a track effect in the multi-track, though this is really cool. So even with its default settings, it cleans up vocal tracks brilliantly. So you can then export these tracks to make a new clean version of the audio to work with. This is kind of cool. And it's best if you wear headphones to listen to your clips. Okay, this is really important. So this adapts to the noise level underneath the vocals as it processes. And so even if you were just adjusting your gain a lot during the recording, adaptive noise reduction will, funnily enough, adapt to the variations. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you about today's topic. We're having a conversation about Adobe Audition. This is a review of Adobe Audition. We want to see if this tool is great from a podcasting perspective. Let's talk about spectral analysis. So while constant hiss is one form of unwanted noise, the other is the isolated sounds of things in the background during your recording. This could be anything from a dog barking to a phone ringing. So if such noise happens at the same time as someone is talking, and what they're saying is imperative to the conversation, then you cannot edit it. You cannot edit it out. And in the traditional cut and sense, with spectral analysis, though, you can look at the audio in frequency form, pick out the unwanted sound, and literally rub it out. So like any type of restoration work, there are limits, but there will be times when this process can work like magic and really help you out in a pinch. So let's talk about envelopes. So each clip and track inside Audition's multi-track has envelope lines running through them. So on the clips themselves, you can add keyframes to these envelopes, which give you complete control over volume levels and the ability to pan the audio from left to right. And this panning is kind of cool because it adds an extra layer of flexibility to your audio. So under each track, there's also a drop-down area with a Show Envelopes menu. So this gives you the option to do this work on the track instead of actually doing the clip itself, meaning you can swap out different clips and still have this volume and panning changes in place. So here, you can also control an EQ envelope. And in our experience, this is great if you don't want to apply a certain EQ setting to the entire track. You just want to maybe customize you want to customize, I would say, clusters of the track. And so this is kind of cool. And if you want to, let's say, spot treat certain areas, then this envelope feature is kind of cool. Most commonly in podcasting, envelopes are used to control the volume levels of music and music beds, fading out, fading in, and ducking under speech. And you also have the match loudness. So volume levels can be problematic for podcasters. There are potential variations from segment to segment, episode to episode, and show to show. And the overall loudness of a piece of audio is commonly measured in loops. Unfortunately, there are about 10 different industry standard agreements on how loud a podcast should be, depending on who you ask. Let's talk about the Adobe Audition Essential Sound. The Essential Sound panel has helped simplify Adobe Audition and makes it much more accessible to beginners. It's basically another way of adding effects to your clips, but in a much more guided way. It works by selecting a clip in your multi-track and assigning it to a category. And so there are dialogue, music, SFX, and ambience. Once selected, each category has a plethora of effects you can choose from. In dialogue, for example, you will find things like make distant, over the intercom, or even podcast voice. And in SFX, you'll find things like in a large room or from outside. You can even use the Essential Sound control to adjust and set clip volume, panning, and reverb levels. Let's talk about the value added here. So when you think about Adobe Audition, you have a couple of specs that you need to pay attention to. And it's important to pay attention to those specs so the final result is actually great. And when you think about Adobe Audition, think about a powerful cross-platform audio editing software that's in a category of its own. For example, Audition has specialized tools for cleaning up or restoring audio and offers precision, non-destructive editing for corporate and commercial video, as well as podcast. And so it's really absolutely stellar in post-production, and it's really great. And so in a pinch, Audition also has the functions that can actually transform the software into a digital audio workstation, though it's so limited and expensive for that market given its lack of music composition tools. So this is really good. So when you think about Audition, think about Audition as a software tool that can be an all-in-one for your podcasting needs. And again, we're speaking here about making sure that you have podcasting needs that are in line with what your audience is looking for. And I will speak about the pricing later on, but it's important to, again, choose the level of pricing that will give you the capabilities that you would need to actually reach your goal. And again, if you think that this is too expensive, you have other players on the market. You have Logic Pro, for example. You have Adobe Premiere Pro, also you can use in conjunction with Audition. So it really depends on what you're trying to really get. What I want to say here is that when you think about Adobe Audition, you have to think about the pricing, okay? But it's nothing complicated here as long as if the budget part is taken care of. It's not really complicated to set the whole thing up. To install Audition, you need a multi-core PC running Windows 64-bit or a Mac running Mac OS 10 and or newer. The biggest recent news is that Audition now runs natively on Apple M1 chips, which takes an already fast digital audio workstation to another level. And so this is kind of cool. So this is really, so overall, you have like the ability to change a lot of things to make your ultimate podcasting experience a wonderful one. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We're having a conversation about Adobe Audition. This is a review of the whole tool. We're trying to really delve a little bit into the details here so you have all the full capabilities and functionalities the software has to offer. I want to talk to you about audio editing, restoration, and export. Let's talk about that. So Audition offers two main modes. You have the waveform view for stereo editing and the multi-track view for mixing tracks on a timeline. It's simple to flip between these two whenever you want. In the waveform view, recording audio and adjusting its volume is very simple, and an attractive spectral frequency editor lets you attack the recorded wave in different ways. And you can actually punch a recording from a specific point within a clip and quickly zoom into the same range on multiple selected clips. So that's for the first view. And when you think about the multi-track view, this is where Audition takes on the hook. It actually takes on the look rather of a normal digital audio workstation. So the thing is, what we love about the multi-track view here is the flexibility. So here you drop clips of audio on different tracks, such as a voiceover on top of music stems or ambient sounds, or mix together recorded interview segments to create a podcast. What we love here, besides flexibility, you also have the ability to actually interchange voice levels within the podcast. This is really good. And so this is really good. And what we love about the Adobe Audition is that the interface is fully drag and drop compatible, and you can cut and trim clips for seamless, non-destructive edits. And this is really great. And so what we love so this is for the multi-track view. And this is unlike the waveform editor where edits are destructive. So be really aware of that. So if you want to safeguard your audio files, be very careful here. So Audition now comes with the ability to strip silence from inactive regions in recorded clips without losing sync in multi-track audio, which is perfect for a fast cleanup of interviews, podcasts, and other multi-track recordings. And strip silence includes adjustable parameters to compensate for uneven volume levels between participants or background noise. This is kind of good. And a sharp new loudness meter, which replaces loudness radar, lets you analyze full mixes, single tracks, or any buzz or submix in real time, which really presets for common regional broadcast requirements, as well as the latest streaming services such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Netflix. This is really good. So this is actually one of the trickiest aspects of producing audio these days, because every service seems to have its own idea of a target loss level, and the nature of loss is such that it's not really a fixed target to begin with. So this is really good, and so it will certainly save you trips to having some kind of problems with your vocal ability or with your overall sound quality. So when you think about the level that you want to reach, be very clear about your own goals first. Okay, this is very important. And one of Audition's most powerful features is its favorites, which lets you set up macros that actually perform a series of common operations on wave after wave, such as normalizing or converting to stereo. to stereo. In tandem with favorites is batch processing, which lets you perform tricks like matching up an entire group of clips to broadcast regulation standards or analyzing the frequency and even phase of recordings. This will have saved, can save you a ton of time on some older video game sound design projects. This is really good. So when we talk about Adobe Audition, we are speaking about a series of features, a series of capabilities that can really make your end game fantastic. Let me talk about scoring and music production. So Adobe has tightened up its marketing around live multi-track recording and no longer pitches Audition in its fashion, but it's worth noting Audition's limitations. And the audio rendering engine is powerful enough. So what we have seen here is that it can handle up to 128 tracks or record 32 tracks at once without stuttering. So this is really great. I mean, we're talking about a gain in productivity here. You can also select, adjust, and delete multiple tracks simultaneously. So this level of simultaneousness is kind of cool because you're able to gain again in productivity. Audition comes bundled with several thousands royalty-free loops and over 10,000 sound effects to get you started with post-production. And Audition also offers a music remix tools that attempts to automate cutting new versions of a song without having to send it to an actual remixer or mix engineer for changes. So this is kind of cool for those who like to have things DIY style. And the cool thing is this feature also lets you adjust a song's target duration to get exactly the right cut. So say you want to shorten the song by 30 seconds. The remix tool will literally go in and adjust the segments of the sound of the song and transition them in a way that resembles splicing tape, and that's pretty much seamless to the listener, assuming it's not a song most people recognize. And the cool thing is you have more capabilities here. You can even customize the splices by telling it to favor shorter segments with longer transitions or vice versa. It's all about, once again, it's all about what your audience would like to hear. And more importantly, the program can be configured to favor rhythm elements so that the beat always stays locked when necessary, or favor harmonic structure when it's a group of vocalists or string instruments playing that don't have an easily discernible beat attached. So this is kind of cool. So we also, if you want to pay attention, for example, to the actually within Audition, you have a focused audio editor. This is really good because basically this will help you make sure that the final product is actually up to standards, which you want anyway. And so this is really good. And this is where Audition is really shining. If you were to compare Audition to, let's say, Audacity or Hindenburg, for example, this is where you actually see that Audition really has a slight edge over those two tools because of the quality in terms of the capability in terms of the audio. And so overall, this is a great tool that you should this is a great tools with a lot of features you should try. Let's talk about the pricing here. So when we talk about pricing, I'm going to show you two screenshots. The first screenshot is you can see on the screen here. It says Audition will start at $21 a month. Don't be fooled by the $21. It's way more than that because the final price will be way more than that. But you can see here, so you have a $21, and Adobe is trying to sell you other products. Okay, that's what they're trying to do. They're always trying to cross sell. So so here you can see that they're trying to really ask you to add other stuff. So basically, you have the Creative Cloud, all apps. So you have and this starts at $55. Again, if you add 21 to 55 already, you are in 76. And this is how things add up. You can actually, if you don't really watch out, you can really find yourself paying $200, or at least be in a position where you have to pay $200 or $300 a month to Adobe for podcasting. Now, if you can afford it, if your budget can afford that, not a problem. If not, again, be very careful here. The second screenshot I want to show you here is you can see on the screen here, Audition is asking you to pick a subscription. Remember earlier, you had $20.99. Here, you have the option. So you can do a yearly, build monthly. You have a yearly, build upfront, and monthly, build monthly, of course. And so the first option where you pay $31.49, this is basically, this gives you some kind of flexibility so you can cancel the subscription at any time, not a problem. But if you have the resources, if you have the budget, it's just a lot better to pay yearly. So they were billing you upfront, so once a year, because you can save up to 20 to 25%. This is really good. And you can also try Audition. By the way, you can always try Audition with the 7-day free trial. So you are able to see exactly how the software works. Like you can see whatever, like you know. But the only thing is, Adobe wants you to include a credit card. So this is really a bummer here, because you never know. But yeah, you know, they want you to have a credit card, and so the trial will last 7 days, and so the trial will automatically convert to a paid Creative Cloud membership when it's complete, unless you cancel before then. And we have instances where it's just so complicated to cancel, and if you do, if you make a mistake, and you know, Adobe takes forever to actually refund you. So be very careful. If you go with a 7-day free trial, be sure that you know exactly what you want, and that you're able to remember at the right time to actually cancel, if you were to cancel. So what is our verdict here? Is Adobe Audition worth it or not worth it? Well, in our view, Adobe Audition is a comprehensive audio editor for video post-production, podcast, and audio restoration. It is expensive. Don't get me wrong, it is expensive, but so it really makes sense that to use it if you have the budget for it. If you have the budget, or you are an experienced podcaster. If you're a beginner, you don't want to go with Adobe unless you have the budget to kind of back you up. Okay, you want to start with there are a lot of other tools where you can just start, and those tools are cheaper. You can start with them, and then once you're comfortable, once you have the resources, you can just switch to Adobe Audition. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. Let's quickly do a recap here. So in today's conversation, I spoke to you about the Adobe Audition, and I give you a review here. So I spoke to you about the synopsis, the features, the value added, the pricing. I give you the verdict, and now the recap. Thank you. God bless you. I'll speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.